Hi friends, I am Nilesh Anas. Today I am going to explain about the Delhi Sultanate. This Sultanate reigned from 1206 AD to 1526 AD. The dynasties of Delhi Sultanate. There were five dynasties that ruled in the Delhi Sultanate. The first was the Slave dynasty, which ruled from 1206 to 1290 AD. The Khalji dynasty, the it ruled from 1290 to 1320 AD. The Tughlaq dynasty, it ruled from 1320 to 1412 AD. The Sayyid dynasty ruled from 1414 to 1451 AD. The Lodi dynasty ruled from 1451 to 1526 AD. AD full form is Anno Domini. Now I'll introduce to the chapter. Muhammad of Ghor. As you can see in the image, this is Muhammad of Ghor. He was born on 1149 and died on 1206. Muhammad Ghori. He was the person who laid the foundation of Muslim rule in India. He came from Afghanistan. So after found, he founded the empire in India, he had to return to Afghanistan so that he can protect the empires that were far away from India. So he left the territories that were in India under the charge of his slave general Qutbuddin Aibak. At that time, there were many generals that those were bought from other countries. They were known as slave generals. After the death of Muhammad Ghori in 1206, the generals fought among themselves to gain control of the whole empire because Ghori left no heirs behind. But still, nobody could succeed, so Aibak established his control over Delhi and North India because that were the parts where he ruled and declared himself the Sultan of Delhi. The word Sultan in Arabic means ruler. That is why mostly it was used at the end of the names of the kings. The kingdom established by him came to be known as the Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultanate, it was reign, ruling from 1206 to 1290 AD. These are some of the well-known rulers of the slave dynasty. Qutbuddin Aibak. He was the first Sultan of Delhi. He ruled from 1206 to 1210 AD. He founded the slave dynasty. Slave dynasty, as you know, was the first dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. He was the Sultan of Delhi for 4 years. He was also known as Lakh Bakshi because he used to give away lakhs to the poor and for religious ceremonies. He was a kind and generous ruler. He began the construction of Qutub Minar. He fell and died while playing polo in his horse. Here is his image, and this is the image of Qutub Minar. Samsuddin Iltutmish, he ruled from 1211 to 1236 AD. Here is his image. Shamsuddin Iltutmish was the slave of Aibak. He married Aibak's daughter. He issued two new coin systems. The silver coin system was known as Tankha and the copper was known as Jital. He also gained control over Bengal and Bihar through direct conquests. He saved his kingdom from a possible Mongol invasion by making some forts and putting them under the control of some able generals. This is Razia Sultana. She ruled from 1236 to 1040 AD. Razia was the first and the last woman ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. Iltutmish, her father, and she also had some three brothers with her. nominated her to be the sultana because he thought that his sons were very unworthy of becoming sultans because they mostly thought of themselves only and paid no attention to the empire. This is Ghiyasuddin Balban. Here is his image. He ruled from 1266 to 1286 AD. Ghiyasuddin Balban ruled with an iron fist and adopted the policy of blood and iron. The policy of blood and iron means that anybody who attempts to do crimes was punished severely. He also set up an efficient spy system to make sure that his people were loyal to him, and like mostly the nobles used to plot against the kings. That did not happen. He faced strong opposition from the Chalisa. The Chalisa was a group of 40 nobles and he punished them mercilessly or killed them. He also built a powerful army to protect his kingdom from Mongol invasions. This is the Khalji dynasty. This ruled from 1290 to 1320 AD. This is the image of Jalaluddin Khalji, the first ruler of the Khalji dynasty, 1290 to 1296 AD was the time period to which his rule continued. It, his full, he was Jalaluddin Khalji. He was the founder of the Khalji dynasty. He was 70 years old when he ascended the throne. His nobles thought him to be a weak and lenient ruler and turned against him. That was because he was so old, and many people also underestimated him. After a rule of 6 years, he was also killed by his nephew Alauddin Khalji, and he took up the throne. This is the image of Alauddin Khalji, 1296 to 1316 AD was the time period to which he ruled. Alauddin Khalji was an ambitious ruler, a shrewd administrator, and a wise general. He always put his army in proper areas. He was a good administrator at solving problems and an ambitious ruler. That was because he thought himself to be the second Alexander and he wanted to rule the whole world. He paid his soldiers in cash. To discourage corruption, he introduced a system of auditing accounts of his officers. This means that he employed some people who used to check the accounts of his officers so that they were not doing any cheating. He lowered the prices of many essential goods like wheat, rice, cloth, cooking oil, etc., and those things which were essential for living. This way he could pay a low salary so that the army could also afford and their families could afford to have much more amenities, and he could also have a larger army. This is the Tughlaq dynasty which ruled from 1320 to 1412 AD. These were some of the well-known rulers. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, he was the first ruler of the Tughlaq dynasty. He ruled from 1320 to 1325 AD. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq was the founder of Tughlaq dynasty. He was a just ruler and restored order in the Sultanate. He crushed many rebellions that happened in his area because many, as you know, many nobles mostly wanted to conquer the empire and were plotting against the king. He also reorganized his army. Like the previous rulers, he used to change the positions of his army. He carried out military campaigns in Odisha, Bengal, and Warangal. He was killed and succeeded by his son Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was a man who was also known as the wisest fool because he was an impractical ruler. He ruled from 1325 to 1351 AD. Here is his image. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was a learned man. He was a scholar of philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, and logic. These were some of the subjects in which he was a very big learner, but he was an impractical person. This means that he did not think before he made any decision. So it caused misery to his subjects. He is also known as the wisest fool, since some of his very dangerous administrative measures were shifting of capital. He shifted his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, but then he had to again change it back to Delhi because he could not control the Mongol invasions. This caused a lot of problems to his subjects because mostly the it was a very long distance, some 1,500 kilometers away, as Delhi is in the northern part of India and Daulatabad is in Maharashtra. The introduction of token currency. Due to the time when he was ruling, the shortage of silver became imminent. So he introduced copper and bronze coins in which had the same value as silver coins, so it was very easy to fake those coins and forge them. His military expeditions were also gone wrong because they crossed mountains, but then the army could not sustain this. The Said dynasty ruled from 1414 to 1451 AD. This is Alauddin Alam Shah, Mubarak Shah, Muhammad Shah, and Khizr Khan. Timur, this is Khizr Khan. Timur invaded India in 1398 and plundered Delhi, Meerut, Haridwar, and Jammu. These were some of the cities that Timur plundered and stole all the money. Before leaving India, he appointed Khizr Khan as his deputy because he did not want to lose India. In 1414, Khizr Khan captured the throne of Delhi and started the rule of Sayyid dynasty. After Timur started losing his power, Khizr Khan took the advantage and made it made himself the king. Khizr Khan gained control over Delhi and tried to gain more territories, other surrounding areas of Delhi, but could not succeed because there were more strong rulers in more than him around his kingdom. He and his successors Mubarak Shah, Muhammad Shah, and Alauddin Alam Shah had to face constant struggle to maintain their control over their kingdom. The Lodi dynasty was the final and the last dynasty. It ruled from 1451 to 1526 AD. Bahlol Lodi was the first ruler. He ruled from 1451 to 1488 AD. Bahlol Lodi was the founder of the Lodi dynasty. He consolidated his position by crushing rebellions and bringing peace and order. He also extended his control over the Ganga Yamuna Doab and valley. He was succeeded by Sikandar Lodi. Sikandar Lodi was his son. Sikandar Lodi ruled from 1488 to 1517 AD. Here is his image. He was the greatest Lodi ruler. He extended his control over Gwalior and Bihar through direct conquests. In 1503 AD, he also founded the city of Agra. He had a very efficient system of administration and administered his empire well. He promoted trade by providing well-protected and better roads. That means that he stationed army at the important roads and also built better roads. He took several measures to promote agriculture. He kept the prices of essential commodities in control so that most people may not go hungry due to the lack of money. In 1517, he fell ill and died. This is Ibrahim Lodi. He ruled from 1517 to 1526 AD. Ibrahim Lodi was the last ruler of the Delhi Sultanate. He displeased his nobles by replacing the older ones with younger nobles who were loyal to him. This means that he sent the disloyalty to him by the older ones, so he replaced them by the younger nobles. So they mostly the older nobles were very dissatisfied and wanted to defeat him, so they invited Babur to defeat Ibrahim Lodi. In 1526, in the first battle of Panipat that took place in Panipat, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi, thus ending the Delhi Sultanate, and he was the last ruler. Thank you.